just who was Julius Caesar? Was he a merciless dictator or a virtuous leader, or both? And why was he so hated and loved at the same time? Because it's hard to condense Caesar into just 10 facts, we decided to make this a two-part special. So coming up are 20 facts about the Roman politician. Some well-known and some may surprise you, but after learning about the controversial commander, we'll let you decide just who Caesar truly was. Number 1. The birth of a noble. Gaius Julius Caesar, or Gaius Julius Caesar IV, was born in around 100 BC to the Iuli clan of Caesares, who, being patricians or members of Rome's original aristocracy, claimed to be descendants of the goddess Venus. Despite his nobility, it is said that his family was not snobbish, rich, or even influential or distinguished, because while patricians formerly had privilege and power in the early days of Rome, the status of patrician had dwindled to a mere honorary title by the 1st century BC. Though not wealthy by Roman standards, the Caesares were well off enough to provide Caesar with a private tutor, Marcus Antonius Nifo. Being one of the best orators in Rome, he instructed Caesar in reading, writing, and public speaking, which were key skills that helped him climb the political ladder later in life. Number 2. A family of politicians. Caesar's father started out as a quaestor, which was the lowest-ranking magistrate in ancient Rome, but within 7 or 8 years, he moved up to governor over a province in Asia. Caesar's mother Aurelia Cotta also came from a noble and distinguished family of patricians. The historian Tacitus states that Aurelia was committed to raising a son that would make the Republic proud, and she thus regulated Caesar's studies and occupations, and even his recreations and games. His aunt Julia was married to Gaius Marius, and his very distant cousin Julia was married to Lucius Cornelius Sulla. And these two men also happened to be political rivals, and were at literal war with one another. The First Civil War, which resulted in Marius's death and Sulla's rise to power as a dictator. Needless to say, with an ambitious family heavily involved in government affairs, Caesar was destined for a career in politics. Bonus fact: Caesar had 2 sisters also named Julia Major and Julia Minor, and he also named his daughter Julia. Number 3. By the people, for the people. Rome at this time was dominated by 2 political ideologies: the populares, whose interest was primarily in the multitude of the people, and the optimates, who sought to preserve the oligarchy, or a government ruled by the Senate and nobility. Though nobles themselves, the Iuli Caesares family was committed to the anti-nobility party. From the beginning, Caesar aimed to reform the Roman government, which was dominated by the optimates and had been severely corrupted by the ruling class. It was thus in his best interest to appeal to the people, in order to attain his political goal, to reorganize the Roman state and make its personnel more representative of Roman citizenry. Throughout his life, he took every step to acquire the necessary power to put the misgoverned Greco-Roman world in accordance with his own ideals. Number 4. Julius the Priest. When Caesar was about 15, his father died while putting on shoes one morning. Caesar suddenly became the head of the family, and he decided that priesthood would be the most beneficial for them. The next year, he was nominated to become the high priest of Jupiter, which was the second most important priest in Rome, as Jupiter, much like the Greek god Zeus, was the chief deity of the Roman religion. The privileged position also required Caesar to take a patrician wife. He decided to marry a noblewoman named Cornelia, who also happened to be the daughter of a consul who supported populare ideals and had allied himself with Caesar's late uncle Marius. When Sulla became dictator, he began a systemic purge of his enemies, including those of the populare ideology. Sulla thus required Caesar to divorce his wife or face exile. The young priest did not comply, and he was subsequently stripped of his priesthood, his property, his wife's dowry, and had to flee from Rome. Number 5. Julius the Soldier. Without a means of supporting himself or his family, Caesar joined the Roman army in Turkey. He proved himself an excellent soldier and was even awarded a decoration for bravery, the Corona Civica, for saving a life in battle. He was eventually promoted to the personal staff of a judicial officer and even joined him on diplomatic missions. Number 6. Captured by pirates. In 78 BC, the dictator Sulla died, and Caesar deemed it safe to return to Rome, and there he continued to advance his career by becoming a lawyer. He was a successful prosecutor who was widely known as an eloquent speaker. In 75 BC, he traveled to Rhodes to continue his oratory studies. Now, the Mediterranean Sea in this era had a notorious pirate problem. A band of Sicilian pirates captured Caesar while he was at sea. But this did not deter the young nobleman in the slightest. According to the Roman historian Plutarch, the capture was a minor inconvenience for Caesar, but very bad luck for the pirates. It is said that Caesar simply refused to behave like a captive. He made himself at home among the pirates, and even bossed them around and made them listen to the speeches and poems he had composed. When the pirates told him he would be ransomed for 20 talents, Caesar claimed he was worth at least 50. He sent his entourage out to gather the ransom money, and in the meantime he maintained a friendly relationship with the pirates and even participated in their games. From time to time, he would threaten to have them all crucified, which the pirates of course took as a joke. But when the ransom was finally paid and he was released, Caesar raised a naval force, pursued and captured his pirate captors, and had them all crucified as promised. However, because they treated him well during his captivity, he mercifully slit their throats before crucifixion to grant them a faster death. Bonus fact: a Roman talent is an ancient unit of weight and was approximately 75 pounds, or 34 kilograms. The pirates wanted to ransom Caesar for 20 talents, which is about 1,500 pounds of gold, or about 33 million US dollars. Caesar, knowing his worth, upped his ransom to 50 talents, or 3,750 pounds of gold, which is about 81 million US dollars. Number 7. Driven by justice. What adjective comes to mind when you think of Julius Caesar? Was he ruthless, ambitious, or perhaps rebellious? One defining characteristic that can be attributed to Caesar is that he was consistently motivated by his ideals of virtue and justice. As he climbed the political ladder, every motion he made was in favor of the people and of political and social reform. When Caesar returned to Rome in 72 BC, he wasted no time to start his career in politics, and he was elected as military tribune, or commander, a preliminary step towards a senatorial career. For the next 10 years, Caesar quickly moved up from tribune to governor of Spain, and throughout the years, he consistently advocated for moves that would benefit the populace, much to the Optimates' dismay and opposition. Moves such as granting amnesty to those who had fought in recent revolutions against the Roman Republic, or moves to restructure the Mediterranean to clear it of its pirates. I wonder why. Being of lower rank, he could not yet implement the necessary bills to reform the Roman government, but with the power he did have as aedile, he was dedicated to the care of the city and its buildings, markets, and roads, including the most famous of ancient Roman roads, the Via Appia, which ran 230 miles from Rome to the heel of Italy. And lastly, he produced lavish games for the Circus Maximus. His custody of the city endeared him to the public and his men, but gaining his soldiers' and citizens' devotion was more of the means to reach his goal of political reorganization. Number 8. The First Triumvirate. In the ancient Roman political structure, the highest position with supreme power over the state was consulship. The Republic always had 2 consuls that were nominated by the Senate and elected by the people, and they only held office for a year. To prevent the abuse of power, each consul could veto the other's decisions. Why is this important to know? Well, in 59 BC, Caesar was finally elected to be one of the 2 consuls. By this time, Caesar was already a controversial political figure, and he only continued to escalate the controversy as he acquired more power. Much to the Senate's displeasure, and in total mob fashion, the now powerful Caesar formed an alliance with one of Rome's greatest generals, Gnaeus Pompeius, or Pompey the Great, and Rome's richest man, Marcus Licinius Crassus. And all three of them formed what historians would later call the First Triumvirate. The three men together effectively ruled Rome, and thanks to their support, Caesar was able to oppose the Optimates by pushing the reform of government, redistributing land to Pompey's veterans and the poor, passing a measure that required all debates in the Senate to be recorded, and punishing misconduct by governors of provinces. The other consul was Marcus Calpurnius Bibulus, who was voted in through massive bribery. Thanks to the threat of mob violence, or being thrown down the steps of a temple and showered with garbage, he could not oppose Caesar's legislation, and he spent the most of his consulship in the safety of his home. The First Triumvirate continued long after Caesar's consulship ended, which in a way protected him from prosecution for his actions as consul. Number 9. Julius the Conqueror. After a productive year of reform, Caesar was given governorship over Roman Gaul, and he was determined to expand Rome's northwest frontier and also acquire the wealth, military manpower, and prestige that comes with conquest. For the next 8 years, he led a series of campaigns that would become known as the Gallic Wars, conquered the rest of Gaul, and subjugated it to Roman rule. Caesar thus earned a reputation as a formidable and ruthless military leader, and he further gained the respect of his soldiers for the victories that his intellectual ability had brought them. Bonus fact, he even made a brief expedition to Britain twice, but he withdrew to Gaul nearly empty-handed and without ever establishing a settlement there. Number 10. The Civil War. Perhaps it was due to jealousy of Caesar's successes that distanced Pompey from the other triumvir. But while Caesar was triumphant in Gaul, tensions arose between the two. Pompey's wife, who was Caesar's daughter Julia, died in childbirth, and the other triumvir Crassus died during his pursuit of glory at the Battle of Carrhae, and thus ended their reasons to maintain amicable relations. The First Triumvirate had dissolved, and Pompey had found himself siding with the Optimates, who appointed him as sole consul to manage the chaos and anarchy that had ensued. Pompey and the Senate terminated Caesar's governorship of Gaul, and they ordered him to return to Rome as a private citizen so he could be prosecuted, and he would be treated as a public enemy if he did not lay down his command. Caesar was left with two options: either put himself at the mercy of his enemies or seize control over them. So he marched with his legions towards the city and infamously uttered, "Alia iacta est," the dice are thrown. This was considered an act of war, and Pompey mobilized his troops to engage the rebellious Caesar in battle. Pompey, however, suffered a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Pharsalus and fled to Egypt, where he thought he'd have sanctuary among friends. But he was killed as he stepped onto the shore, as the Egyptians believed the gods favored Caesar over Pompey. Now, with no one else who could oppose him and no other consul to lead the Romans, Caesar rose to become dictator of Rome. Thank you for watching Ancient Military History and the first 10 facts about Gaius Julius Caesar. Which one is your favorite fact so far? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked this video and would like to see more, subscribe to the channel and check out our other playlists of videos where we cover other interesting and influential ancient military leaders. Until next time, thank you and have a wonderful day.